the purpose of the spiritual quest is not perfection, but it's inspired usefulness. It's joyful participation and contribution.
Hi, I'm Swara, and welcome to Akashic Records Unlocked, a summit to spread awareness and share insights about healing in the Akashic Records. We're super happy today to have a wonderful guest with us, Dr. Linda HOWE. Linda HOWE is a doctor of spiritual studies and the leading expert and pioneer in the field of Akashic Records studies for personal empowerment and transformation. Her book, How to Read the Akashic Records, Accessing the Archive of the Soul and Its Journey, received the 2010 Coalition of Visionary Resources Award for the Best in Spirituality and Alternative Science. The first edition of Healing Through the Akashic Records was honored with the second runner-up COVR Award in 2012, and in 2015, Discover Your Soul's Path Through the Akashic Records, Taking Your Life from Ordinary to Extraordinary was released, and just this year, Linda has shared Inspired Manifesting, Elevate Your Energy and Ignite Your Dreams Through the Akashic Records. Linda's work has risen from 25 years of practice with students from all over the world, which she shares through her teacher training, classes, and events. Join Linda in accessing your own wisdom and happiness that is always accessible to you. Welcome, Linda HOWE. We're so happy that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm really glad we could be together.
Wonderful. So I'm just so excited that you're here to share your wisdom and experience in the Akashic Records. So the first big question is, what are the Akashic Records?
Oh, I love this question. All right. And it's a great question because we really do want to start at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So the most simple definition, is that the Akashic Record is a vibrational archive of every soul and its journey as human. Mm-hmm. Okay? So because it's vibrational, that means it's invisible. So we never see it, right? We don't see it with the human eye. We don't even see it with the strong eye. It really is vibrational, but it can be discerned or identified, like felt, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a vibrational archive. It's a collection. It's a conglomeration of every soul. Okay, so every human being that has ever existed is in the record. And that's really what composes the record, right, is the soul of all beings. And what's really interesting is that we can't kick anybody out. Like nobody can erase you. You can't erase anybody else. Everybody's in and we're all in for the duration. So it's a vibrational archive of every soul and its journey as human. So, sometimes people say, oh, what about, beings from other galaxies? Well, do they exist? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to any other galaxies lately, so I can't answer that. But I do know that they're not included in the records, mm-hmm. right? And sometimes people say, well, what about if I switch, I go from being human to extraterrestrial and then return? Is that in the record? No, it's not. Mm-hmm. The record really has been understood as the collective memory, but it's past, present, and future, right, corresponding to life on Earth.
Right.
Okay. It also does not address, sometimes people say, well, in a past life, I was a bunny rabbit. Oh. Well, yay, good for you. I mean, I don't know. Were you? Who knows? But I mean, the record doesn't say that it's true or not true, it is or it isn't. The record does not address those. It only addresses our lifetimes, the soul and the human journey, right? Now, there are two parts to every set of records, like your records, my records, two parts. Mm-hmm. The first is permanent. Right? And it is, as I've come to understand it, it's like the impression, the ultimate impression. If we were religious, we'd probably say divine, mm-hmm. but we're going to say it's the ultimate impression with all your potential and possibility, it is your identity. It is who you are destined to become. It
Mm-hmm.
is impressed into the fabric of your soul. Now listen, this is a good thing, okay? Because it's all your wonderfulness, and it's right, and it will be revealed through your lifetimes here on earth as human. So, and what travels along with that permanent part of our record is evolving or emerging. And that is the collection. I love this part, right? It's the collection of the stories of the lifetimes you live through which you awaken to your ultimate potential and begin and live it here while here on earth, right? So it's really it's quite brilliant actually, because it's your highest, it's your highest possibilities, even though we're still, it's perfection, even though we're in what we understand as an imperfect human form.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the record is. So I like to think of the record, it's kind of like the chronicles of you. It's the story of your soul's journey as human and your awakening and your evolution. It's very, very exciting. What it means is that some parts of it are already written, so to speak, and other parts are not. Now, we all have potential and possibility. The record is not about absolutes, right? Because it's not for divination. It's terrible for fortune telling. It's just awful.
Is that your experience? Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. Like, please get a pendulum, right?
Yeah.
Do something else. Don't go to the record, because the record is about our motivations. It's about who we come to know ourselves as from the perspective of the soul.
Yeah.
So whether we wear the pink or the blue, the red or the white, whether we eat, vegetables or pizza, it doesn't matter, right? From a record standpoint. From a record standpoint, it's good to be happy. So what's going to make you happy?
Right.
So, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, what? Anyway.
I love
I don't know if that answers.
No,
I could go on about the identity of the record, because here's the thing. The Akashic realm is a dimension of light, right? It's a dimension. It resides at the level of the soul. So it is the soul level dimension of consciousness. And the soul, as you know, is composed of love. And so the record is like, when we say I'm going to do a reading for you, what I'm really saying is we're going to look at who you are as a person, the issues you're facing in this lifetime from the perspective of your soul, which is the perspective of unconditional love. Yeah. So that's what this is, so it's not a deity. Like sometimes people will say to me, well, I was praying to my records. I'm like, well, why would you do that? It's like, no, because it's not a deity. It is a body of light through which it's much easier for us to recognize truth about ourselves and to let all those treasures that we've been accumulating lifetime after lifetime, all those treasures can rise to the surface, and we can bring them forward for our own good and for the good of everyone around us.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that description and this idea of this place of unconditional loving, and that on our soul level, that's what's there, is unconditional loving. The idea of the permanent, and also the part that isn't permanent, that is unwritten, that is, flexible and moving. Is that where free will comes into?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So we all have like I have, my ultimate potential, as do you. So does everyone out there, right? We all have this. How that comes to pass depends on so many different things, like who am I as a person in this lifetime? What kind of and so in every lifetime there's a range of choices we can make, right? That will propel us forward, right? Because it's really the only way to go is forward. I don't care what there's no going backward. I'm sorry. I mean, good news, right? Good news, bad news. There's no do-overs. But yeah. So that's how that goes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is the thing, because this cracked me up. Some years back, I was like, oh, we have all choices all the time. And I was really like overcome and paralyzed because I thought, I've got all these choices. What am I going to do? Right.
Yeah.
And what I was led to understand in my record was that in any given lifetime, when we select who we will be, our family of origin, these kinds of conditions and circumstances, the choices we have in any given lifetime are very much like the colors of a prism. See, a prism holds all colors, right?
Yes.
But it only expresses, right, if we look at a certain part of the prism, it's blue, it's red, it's, purple, whatever it is. Do you know? And it's the same with human beings. Like in this lifetime, I really am a white woman. I am short. I'm 5'2". And because of that, there are certain choices available to me. Okay. So I have all this privilege because I'm Caucasian. You know what I mean? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, especially in my generation. Oh my God, I hit the jackpot. I was blonde, right? But what this means is, and now I'm old, right? And so this means I'm not going to be a 22 it's all right. No. I don't mean that. I mean, I've been alive a while, right? I didn't just, wake up yesterday, but I'm not going to be a 19-year-old ballerina.
Yeah.
I am not going to be, I'm not playing for the NBA.
Yeah.
It's just not going to. Now, is it because the universe is mean and says, oh, Linda, you can't? No, it's because in this lifetime, there are a range of choices that are appropriate to my identity and circumstance.
Yes.
And part of our work in consciousness development and growth is to make choices that really bring out the best, right, in who we are in this lifetime. Yeah. And so it's pretty exciting, but that's how that works.
Yeah, beautiful. And you've been working in the records for a while and have written so many books. And so this obviously is something that's been so beneficial for people. Can you tell us about how involvement in the Akashic Records helps people improve their lives?
Sure. So I've been working in the records since 1994. Okay. It's been a while. Okay. The prayer that I work with, the pathway prayer process, I got in 2001. Okay. I've been teaching internationally for, a couple decades now. It's very exciting. Okay. Now, work in the record takes us out of the realm of superstition and magic and puts us in the flow of light and life and love and goodness. So it's an incredibly powerful trajectory. What I have found is so many people come to me, this is great, and they will say, I feel inside myself, there's something I'm here to do. Yeah. I just can't get to it. Yeah. Right. So what's really remarkable to me about the record is the record doesn't say, oh, Swara, here's what you need to do. No. The record wants us. The record is the invisible component, right? So the record will stimulate, inspire, uplift, activate, do those things, ignite. But as human beings, we have minds that work. We have bodies that work. We are here to make choices. We've been victims of our spirituality for, God, centuries and centuries. And we are at a point in history where we are partners. Yeah. We are in this partnership with our spiritual authority. So one of the greatest things about the record that I've noticed is that it really empowers people into their spiritual maturity. So we're not like little children hoping some disincarnate entity tells us what to do today.
Yeah.
No, this is about something much greater. And it's about tapping into that. It can seem to be a hard to get to reservoir of infinite wisdom that lives within each one of us.
Yeah.
Now, what I happen to love about the record, the record is governed by three absolutes: fear not, judge not, resist not.
Mhm.
These three conspire together to safeguard the integrity of the record, but also they make for a safe space. Yeah. So when I go into the record, the Akashic light is quite brilliant, right? And it will shine on me and my concerns. I was thinking, a friend of mine, well, actually more than one, used to say to me, Linda, all the answers are within. What are you getting stressed out for? Now I know that, that. My question was, how the heck do I get to those answers?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I felt like I needed a jackhammer, right? But as I step into the record, conscious, responsible, deliberate, nobody can push me into them, right? I'm in the record and the light is shining, and it is because it's unconditionally loving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that's an interesting term because it sounds very smarmy, but it's not a smarmy experience. It's really like, it's kind, it's honorable, it's respectful. So I'm in the record and I know there will be no torment and ridicule. There'll be no goofy, spirit guide saying, oh, you know the answers.
Yeah.
If I knew the answers, would I be looking? No. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd be doing, like,
Yeah.
please. So in this space, we can explore. And that is really the best thing about the record.
Yeah.
Because in the process of exploration, what we know now, what we have always known, gets kicked in, right? And we can begin to move in the direction consciously that we really want in our hearts,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And in a way that is self-respecting, in a way that is empowering, in a way that honors life. Do you know, in my latest book, Inspired Manifesting, I talk a lot about this realm of engagement, like inspired manifesting, like what the heck is that, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was, anyway, of course, I have a million crazy stories, but I used to think manifestation was about, first of all, I just have to take what life gives me. Okay, so we did that for what, couple thousand years, right? Our parents did it. It's cool. Makes us miserable, but hey. But it's a level of consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. Then the next level is, damn the torpedoes. I'm going to force my will and I'm going to make life give me what I want. Yeah. So we tried that. Doesn't work. It's a great idea. Nah. Life says, oh, sit down, Missy. But then inspired manifesting is, I look into my heart for those dreams that have been with me since I was a little girl. Whether they make sense or not isn't the point. But there are certainly dreams and hopes and wishes that we carry within us that maybe we've been carrying for centuries, right? And in inspired manifesting, we introduce our dreams to life. Now, the thing about life that's interesting, and the thing about this process, see, I used to be like, I have to wait till life. First of all, I have to wait till I'm perfect. Okay. Then I have to wait till life is perfect. And see, with inspired manifesting, it's about introducing my dreams, making like an offering. This is what I hope. This is what I want, like that, to life, trusting in the goodness of life. The assumption of the Akasha is that life is good, that life is for us, right? So I set my course out there, and there is something, it's an alchemical process, when we launch our deepest wishes into life and let life and our wishes kind of mush together, something happens. that is often far beyond our best thinking, our greatest ideas. And it is satisfying not only to us, but to the people who are touched by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's we have perfected the chocolate chip cookie recipe, which is very important, or
Very important.
we're working on the Akashic Records. It's all spiritual,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Does
love
that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I love what you're saying here. I have so many thoughts about it. When you're saying people come to the records, and this is one of those questions that a lot of people ask when they come to the records, like, what am I here to do? What is my soul's purpose? And just what you said about, well, the Akashic records will inspire and they'll ignite and they'll like start helping you sort of like unfold and open to this. But then also, that I'm also kind of setting forth my dreams and having those things kind of speak to each other and letting it unfold. I really think that's where the magic happens.
Yes, it's an interactive process.
Yeah.
I didn't realize prior to my work in the records that life was interactive. I thought it was either it was gonna run over me like a truck, or I was gonna have my way with it.
That's
when
right.
in fact, it's like, it's a dance, right? It's a river, it's a flow.
Yeah.
And as we move into it, there's an engagement.
Yeah.
And that's where, if we can call it magic, right? But
Yeah.
that's where the traction is, that's where things happen.
Yeah.
And the thing about soul's purposes that's fascinating to me, because, I was raised on a lot of old ideas. Is that I understood, I originally thought soul's purposes were outside of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that there was some creature, I don't know, out there who was going to tell me, do this. And it's not how it is.
No.
Our soul's purposes are part of who we are as people. And it's also interesting because the record, right? The record is the story of who we are as human beings traveling lifetime to lifetime. But what's really interesting is that our soul's purposes are inextricably woven into our human identity and our human journey.
Mm-hmm.
And soul's purposes are those activities that unleash within us the unconditional love. Like every human being has within them a well of infinite love.
Yeah.
I don't care what their behavior is. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's true. The question is, how do we unleash it? It's not how do I get from life? It's how do I unleash this love? Yeah. So I have to begin to look at who am I as a person and what really, if nobody else matters, what is it that when I'm engaged, I just feel loved? Yeah. So for me, it's working in the records. And I have to tell you something, my first book came out in 2009. Mm-hmm. There was nothing on the records then. There was nothing. And, I was scared. Yeah. I was really scared. And I got a lot of emails from people telling me, oh, what are you doing? You shouldn't do that. But it was so clear within me that my work is to make the Akashic record available to anybody who wants it. That we've left that era where the record is only for saints and scholars and, like that. And that now it's really about anybody who wants it. But that, the way I understand it is I have a responsibility to provide outstanding training, because we're like this bridge generation. Because I have to, you know this, like if I said Akashic Records to my mother, she was like, yes, dear. Right, please be careful was pretty much my mother's mantra. Please be careful. Oh no, please. Okay, that's fine. And my son, I have a 27-year-old son, and he says things to me like, I don't know why you guys make a big deal out of this. This is so obvious. Oh. And he's a guy, you understand? He's a real guy's guy. Yeah. He's like, why do you always have to talk about this stuff? Everybody, it's so obvious. Yeah. Right?
Wow,
So,
the evolution of
the
consciousness.
evolution, and that's in what, 50 years. But the thing is, so we are the bridge generation, and we have a responsibility to identify and articulate the
Mhm.
truths about the records, to clarify ways people can be engaged consciously, responsibly, and deliberately,
Yeah.
right? So that it's useful. And now listen, it's entertaining as hell, you know that. But that's not the point, right? The point is that we improve the quality of our life, which is absolutely available. Um, so
Yeah, beautiful. You know, it's so funny that you mentioned that evolution of consciousness and that point where we lived as a group where we were thinking, we're going to make it happen, we're going to power through it. And even if we have to bulldoze someone else, we're going to make it happen. And it's so funny because in some ways, I was thinking like in some ways we're returning to a place where we are like actually manifesting so much, but it's that change of like conscious manifesting and doing it in partnership in this kind of conversation with existence that is the difference, that we're doing it with so much more loving. And I loved your term inspired manifesting because that's really
it's
what it is.
inspired manifesting, right? And it's relational.
Yeah.
It's that who we are as human beings, like who I am, who you are, who we are as people, we are not outside of life.
Yeah.
We're part of it, right? And
Yeah.
so in the conscious manifesting process, it is about being very deliberate and honorable in activating this relationship we have with life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that what you're saying, that place of loving, do I feel my capacity for loving increasing? Do I feel more joy increasing? That's a really great gauge to just kind of course correct as you go along. That feels right for me, and this is a great way to monitor that.
Well, do you know what? And you know what's fascinating? I used to think, I always laugh about my old ideas because they're really bad. But I used to think that if I was involved in my soul's purposes, everything would be easy sneezy, right? That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, do I love myself? Do I feel loved? Do I love and appreciate myself even when it's difficult? Do I have a sense of inner peace even though it takes a tremendous amount of effort?
Yeah.
See, that's the gauge. The gauge is not, do I have synchronicity and goosebumps? I mean, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The idea is, the other thing I ask myself is, can I walk away from this? Because I know in my work, when I first came into the records in 1994, one of the first things, because I was like, what is this?
Mhm.
Right? I didn't know what I was like, what? Anyway, and one of the messages I got, or it was an awareness that, because I don't hear and I don't see, but I have a sense of awareness, right? What I got was, this is an infinite spiritual resource.
Mhm.
Now, listen, in my arrogance, I was like, oh, yeah, I know what that is. I want you to know, I've just finished my fourth book. I'm teaching, China, Taiwan, Russia. I am working and I'm working on material for my next project. This is infinite. Because anytime I've thought, well, I originally thought I will stay with this until it dries up.
Mhm.
Because I felt good. It was like right and true. And do you understand? I was like, yeah, this is good. And I thought, well, I'll do this until it's not.
Yeah.
And then one day I woke up and I realized 25 years had passed and I'm not done. Every time I think I get to the end of the cliff and it's going to like disappear,
Right.
I feel like there's a tilt
Yeah.
and there's a universe
Yeah.
in front of me for my exploration and edification. It's just, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I never thought, who knew, right? I didn't know
Right.
that
And,
this
and
was available.
yeah. And I think on some level, maybe we all know that this is so vast. It's so vast. Maybe we're just even scratching the surface. Like we don't know.
Oh, we are, listen, I'll tell you, if I know anything, I know we're at the gate.
Yeah.
Because we are the first generation in human history, right, that of secular people who have been able to engage in the records consciously, responsibly, and deliberately, and to mine the Akasha for insight, guidance, and wisdom to apply to our everyday lives.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all new.
Yeah.
All new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's a lot, there's like, okay, here we go.
Here we go. And, this is so exciting, such an exciting time. And I know that when I discovered the records, I definitely felt this call. I gotta tell people, I have to spread awareness. I have to do this summit. This is what I have to do. And so that's just part of it. Like it's so life-changing and it's so affirming.
Yes.
So, I want to go back to this idea of inspired manifesting.
Please.
And we're all evolving. I feel like we're doing so much more conscious manifesting than ever before. And in your experience working with your clients, and what do you think are like the biggest blocks to inspired manifesting? And then what do we do about that?
It's a great question. It's a great question. All right, so first we want to understand the blockages, obstacles. They're nothing to be excited about. Everybody's got them. Yeah. Anybody who doesn't have a blockage is already dead. So if you have them, it's a good sign. That means you're here.
Yeah. Okay. I can accept that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's just the way it is because that's what we're doing here. Right. Now, blockages are fears. Okay. They are fears that have really run amok. Mm-hmm. Okay. The thing about blockages and obstacles and whatever, intrusions, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. We only have them because at some level we have the idea that it is best for us. So if I'm afraid and I stop myself, it's because I love myself and I'm trying to protect myself. So what works is, see, in the record, what's really interesting, what ignites release from an Akashic standpoint is acceptance. Okay. Now it doesn't mean approval. It doesn't say, oh, isn't this great? Blah, blah. No, it says, of course I'm afraid. I haven't done this in 10,000 years. Of course I'm afraid. Right. Yeah. And as we begin to acknowledge, accept, appreciate. We have always loved ourselves over lifetimes. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing our best to take care of ourselves and all this stuff. So if I can appreciate that I really thought it was a good idea to not go any further, then I have a chance of flowing past it. Mm-hmm. But if I'm pissed about it, see, energetically, resentment, condemnation, criticism, that intensifies what we know as blockages. Mm-hmm. See, from an Akashic standpoint, there's just no such thing as self-sabotage, right? So it's just another form of self-love. Mm-hmm. We only sabotage ourselves because we think it's such a good idea.
Yes.
So when we can appreciate the level of commitment we have to ourselves and our creativity, can I just say, then we start to move.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I love that because when you're saying self-sabotage, I actually heard it like, oh wait, it's about keeping myself safe.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, safe, alive, at least. If nothing changes, I know I'm going to be
okay. I'll keep breathing. It's good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So being able to shift that and, move into a new space, like by accepting that that's what's happening. That's like a beautiful truth.
Yes. But here's the thing. So if you come to me for a reading, and you've got all kinds of, you're stuck, right? You're stuck, right? if I'm in your records, I'm only in your records because you've given me permission to do so, right? I don't like wander around and open people's records, even though it would be fun, but no. So I'm in your records because I have your permission. And that's good because while I'm in your records doing a reading, I have temporary authority over your record, yeah, your field. So what this means is this. If you're stuck and you're mad as hell at yourself, God damn it, I wish I wasn't stuck. Rah, rah, rah. Okay. It's not going to be helpful for me to say, Swara, you've got to love yourself. What is that?
Yeah.
But see, if it's okay with me as the reader, as your practitioner, if I'm like, if I get it, God, that was a great idea.
Mm.
Of course you did it this way. That is really a good idea. If I appreciate what the choices you've made and what you've done, it eases the passage for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may get it during the reading, you may get it 2 weeks later.
Mm.
Like, wait a minute. This was a good idea when it all started.
Yeah.
I never meant to stop myself like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's the dynamic between the practitioner and the client that is so, like, I think, like mind blowing. It's so moving,
Yeah.
right? Because never in the reading do I insist that you have to get this. Well, no,
Yeah.
I have to get it.
Yeah.
The practitioner has to get it because when I get it, the shift is in the field.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I didn't even, that's wonderful.
Yeah. That's how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, can I ask you, I've heard about this triangle test and I'd love to know.
The triangle test. I love the triangle test. All right, listen. Okay. Heart, mind, and will. Of course, there's a whole backstory, but suffice to say, in the olden days, 20 years ago, in the olden days, it was enough to have the heart-mind connection. But we are in the age of will, right? The age of manifesting. The will is the point at which the soul is expressed here on earth. Mm-hmm. That's the value of the will. This is why manifesting is so big right now, and the will is so big right now, because this is what's going on. Okay, now, in order to be permanent, sustainable transformation, any idea I have for myself, right, must pass the triangle test. So that's heart, mind, and will. Mm-hmm. So how this goes is, I have to love the idea. I have to love it. If I'm thinking, oh, this is really awful, but it'll be good for me later, that doesn't wash. That's no pass, right? It's like, I love it now, even though it's not done. Yeah. Right? I was working on this book. I love that book. I love that book. It wasn't even done. I still loved it. I loved everything about it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So, and I love to work on it. I love that. Okay, so heart. Right. Then we take it to our mind. The question is, does it make good common sense now for who I am in my life? If it doesn't make sense for us, it's not going to happen. Right. Okay? It's just not going to happen. If it's join the circus, that's a bad idea for me. Is it a good idea? Yeah, for somebody else. I'm not joining the circus. Whatever it is. It must be a good idea for us, not because our parents thought it would be a good idea or our spouse. I don't know about you. My friends have lots of good ideas for me. I'm like, great, but but I'm the one who gets the vote, right? Yeah. So that's mine, that's hard. And then the other thing is the will. Yeah. Am I willing to take the necessary action? Sometimes we just want to sit on the couch. That's fine. Right? It's not good. It's a thing to do. Yeah. But we have to be honest with ourselves. And see, in the record, it's so easy to be honest because there's no there's no one there to make fun of us. Mm-hmm. So like with writing this last book, Am I willing to do what has to be done? Obviously, yes. I'm happy to write things down. I love to write things down. I've got notes all over the place, I bring it all together. Am I willing to do that? Yes. Am I willing to not go to the movie and work on the book? Yes. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, am I willing to do the work involved?
Yeah.
Because the way I happen to work is, I get stuff in the records, then I have to walk around with it. I have to, I'm not like, oh, I got it in my records, I'm going to write it down. I'm like, I'll write it down, but then I have to road test things.
Yeah.
And then I like to have my students road test things because I take my responsibility to educate others. I take it very seriously. And I don't want to be casual about, because people have said to me, well, why don't you just channel from the records? I'm like, oh, you really don't want that. That's a series of broken sentences. It's not going to be helpful. Anyway, so it's an interesting, you understand. So we want to, so it's heart, mind, and will.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have a cherished dream. Yeah. But at this point in our lives, it needs some modification. Right?
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. So modify it. Okay. That's all right. We're alive. We are not robots. And there's room. And the record, actually, what I like is that, there's really no dogma with the record, right? It's a body of it, it's an energetic resource, right? It connects our soul to the source. And we're always connected to the source. Yeah. But this is the energy that maintains that connection, holding us steady as we awaken to the truth of who we are. And, it's a messy process.
Yeah.
But for most of us anyway, it's a good process, but it's like, come on.
Yeah. But the triangle test is so great because it's so practical and so simple, so that's what's genius.
Yes. But see, this is what I have personally found in the record, right? That the wisdom revealed, imparted, to me is applicable. Mm-hmm. The records have never asked me to debt myself, to hurt myself or anyone else. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'm like, well, isn't there a bigger picture? Isn't there a, and it's like, yes, but the way, the way we get there is one step at a time.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Which really is fundamentally respectful and appreciative of the human condition.
Yeah. Of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah. It's beautiful and it's gentle and it's loving and it's kind of like an unfolding. So
it is an unfolding. It is an unfolding. But the thing to know, like right now, I wake up, I'm like, I'm having a certain experience in my life it's big, right? Right now it's big, right? That's great. But see, this has been in me forever, right? Mm-hmm. It's not new to me. It's not foreign to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, of course I'm doing this. What else would I do? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And that's because our destiny, our destiny is our destination. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our destiny, the seeds of our destiny live within us. They live within our soul. Right? And so working in the record reveals to us who we already are, mm-hmm. and how to make that real in the world in which we live now. Mm-hmm. Okay, not in some fantasy. And the other thing is that we don't have to be perfect. I mean, I don't know about you, that's a huge relief. I'm a perfectionist, yeah? And I thought, okay, I will do all this after I'm perfect. Mm-hmm. And the records are like, oh, no, honey, you can't wait that long.
Right. We're doing this now.
We're doing this now. See, yeah. Life does not, the purpose of the spiritual quest is not perfection.
Yeah.
but it's inspired usefulness. It's joyful participation and contribution, even though we're not perfect. And when I realized, like, some of the greatest people in history, like Einstein, he looked awful. He had bad hair. I mean,
Mhm.
his outfits weren't good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there
Yeah.
are people who have done magnificent things in the world who, as human beings, obviously imperfect.
Yeah.
And so the idea is to let life use us.
Yeah.
And it is through being used, it is through, right, doing our best, participating, engaging, contributing, all that. It is through that that we transform and become the people that we believe we might be.
Yeah.
Because who you believe you might be is who you really are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to think that.
Ah, that's just so beautiful. I love that, Linda. Thank you so much. I think that's a really lovely space to like take a
Thank
pause and allow that in. And I see that we're coming up to the end of our time, but before we
you.
go, yes, I want to, I know that you came here with a free gift for everyone. So I'd love if you could talk about that just for a quick second.
Yes, yes, yes. So here's the thing. The free gift is it's a surprise, right? But it's a guided meditation. Do you know, a lot of what I do in my work is guided practices. And so this is a guided practice that will really enable you to be more comfortable in that space of being known, loved, appreciated, and then right, and then watch what happens. Allow yourself to be there, get used to it, and let the very best of who you are come to the surface.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your generous gift and the generous gift of your time and your wisdom in sharing with us today. I know that I feel very inspired right now, and I'm so appreciative of you being here. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure completely.
Wonderful. And then to all of our listeners out there, thank you for being here and sharing in this talk. We're still unpacking so much more about the Akashic Records. Like Linda said, it's a vast place and there's so much to talk about. So please check out all the interviews, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.